Hello, my beautiful mimosas. Today I'm going to be sharing with us about our soul's rites of passages. This is a love that I have. One of the main reasons is because it's not spoken about. My progressed sun is in Scorpio. That means that internally I have been, I don't know exactly how many years, but around 20-ish years. I think around 10 more. It's about a 30 year span in which each one of us are in what is called our progressed sun. So I have been studying the occult, life's mysteries, different sacred systems for a very long time now. And these rites of passages, I really believe, would be so helpful that not only we knew about, but that we taught our children, that we spoke about it, that we realized that things that are happening in our everyday lives that might feel like they are deaths or things that just happen to us are actually not happening to us. They're happening in benefit of our rites of passages that we're actually going through. Nobody told us that. Nobody told me that. Nobody told me that. So I'm here sharing with us that. I'm sharing that was not told, because this tale needs to be told and sold. We all need to understand that this is something natural that happens to each and every one of us, male, female, all genders. Yes, my specialty is mystic women and mothers, women who are wanting to deeply connect with the mystery of life and actually bring it down, marry that in their mundane, everyday living. Seeing the sacred in everything that happens in our lives, in times in our lives where we actually are not understanding the why, really coming into a deeper knowing that yes, everything does happen for a divine specific reason. And here you go. I want to share with you those special rites of passages, because once we know about them, our life really makes sense. I mean, it's like this cosmic, like you go outside of your body and you see, oh my God, this was happening during that time frame. Because I was actually remembering, for me, I don't so much feel like our soul is going through our rites of passages. I feel like our soul already knows all of this information. It's we the ones who have to wake up. It's like the veil, everything that we have consumed in this lifetime and in past lifetimes through stories and contracts that we've signed, that we actually then have to undo and realize, actually in this lifetime, I don't need to act like that. I don't need to believe that anymore. I've already finished that way of behaving and being, and now I can actually be more free and authentically me. So we can look at it as it's our soul's rites of passages, or that we are going through those rites of passages that our soul actually already knows. Because I do feel like this, our divine knowing is like, it just is, and it's in us. And when we remember and reawaken to it, it's not something that we like checklist. It's almost like this magnet where it is pulling us, and once we like feel it and it feels like a yes in our body, we just like, ¿cómo se dice? It's not a merge, but we like coalesce, we like integrate. I hope it makes sense. So we're gonna begin with our Saturn return. So there's 5 major points that I want to share. 1, Saturn return. 2nd, Uranus opposition. 3rd, our Chiron return. 4th, our 2nd Saturn return. And I also want to speak about our progressed moon cycle, because I really, really love working with my beautiful mimosas, specifically with our progressed moon. I feel like that really is life-changing, because the progressed moon is our internal season that we're actually living every 2 years. And it's almost like saying, hey, this season, I don't have that much, this 2-year cycle, I'm feeling very internal. I'm feeling like I want to be at home. Or this 2-year cycle, that would be, I'm speaking about myself, which is true, Taurus. And when I was in an Aries season, beforehand, I was feeling completely external, completely thriving in creating and doing many different things, artistic things and work-related things. And I was feeling this fire just like burning all of the time for those 2 years. And then I started to feel the energy moving inward. And when we recognize that these internal seasons are natural, then we don't fight them. We don't try to change them. We don't try to actually become another season. It's how can I embody the teachings more so of that season? Because what we're trying to do is live out a whole, it's around 27, 28-year cycle where our whole being gets to integrate those all of the 12 zodiacs in that lifespan of 27, 28 years. If you see it from that lens, it makes complete sense of we are whole beings, and we're also beings who flow in different seasons in different ways that we're living internally. So I'm going to go back to our Saturn return. Our Saturn return arrives around the end of our 20s. There are a lot of things out there that you can look at and research and read about, but I want to give you just the main gists of all of them. So our Saturn return is your welcoming in this lifetime, your commitment, your devotion, and your contract with the material realm. Something in that time frame literally arrives in your life telling you it's time to root. It's time to create safety and security. So Saturn is that planet that actually creates structure, security. It asks you like it asks you to be like rituals and routines. Like you better, if you don't have any, it's like saying you better learn how to do that in order to actually be responsible. Respond to your life, respond to your gifts, respond to your responsibilities that you committed to in this lifetime. And many times it looks like in the form of getting married, having a child, saying yes to a job offer, moving somewhere. Like it's literally you are building and making the beginning of your life structure. You're starting to build from the ground up. In this decade, something that's going to help you to root, something that karmically as well you have to learn, that we all have to learn. So it is something that it is making us more responsible. And the word is literally from life. It's saying it's grow up time. It's time to grow up. And yes, I feel like in this era of my lifetime, I can finally see what that means for me. It's taken me, I'm a late bloomer and I'm okay with that. 6'2", remember my 6'2" in human design. But the gist or the affirmation or the essence is like, it's asking you to grow up, to be more responsible, to settle. And I don't mean settle from a place of like feeling like you have to settle, but like settling into your daily routines, settling into your commitments, etc., etc. So for myself, for example, that was exactly when I was pregnant and birthing my first child, Julia. Before that, I had had 2 baby deaths. So I had gone through a huge death and rebirth cycle, but she was born at that cusp of 28 to 30. So I can attest to it literally showing me that I was literally in diapers in that regards of being responsible in my everyday lives. You've heard me speak about that, so I'm not going to get into more of what my beautiful daughter has taught me. You can listen to it in my past podcasts. and some of my shares here on YouTube. So the Saturn return, look back in your life and see, was there one thing or a couple of things that happened to help me actually start to build something, start to make something, start to respond with more responsibility to something? Then number two, I am always speaking about a 10-month or a 10-year cycle. Look at this. All these three next ones, they literally happen in a 10-year cycle. So around 10 years after that, your Uranus at the end of your 30s, your Uranus opposition is the time where Uranus is coming into your life to literally reawaken you. Some women, most of the women actually who are coming into my realm and that I'm supporting, my beautiful mimusas, most, not all, but most are actually in their Uranus opposition. They don't understand that they are actually going through a spiritual reawakening, a soul's remembrance. Something is happening inside of them where what they used to be committed to for that 10-year cycle, there's some things that just no longer fit. They don't feel right. They feel old. They feel like they're outdated identities. They feel false. They don't feel like they're in alignment with their soul anymore. And that's the natural progression. Uranus literally is like causing upheaval in your life, so you can actually free them and feel liberated by this freedom of liberating these things from your life and creating space for what's going to emerge for your next 10-year cycle. Also, the planet Neptune is playing during this time frame, and it's helping to kind of soften the edges of Uranus that just wants to say burn it all. Like, notice and see in your own life or friends of yours that around that time frame they're like, I want a divorce, I'm done with this, I want a new job, if I'm a mother, like I want to go back to work. Like there's something like I can't, like I can't relate to friends around me or my family. Like there's something happening. And what is happening is Neptune is the most spiritual planet of the zodiac. And so there's like a mystical reawakening wanting to be had inside of you. It is a time, like I said, of freedom, of liberty, of like literally granting yourself permission to have your first complete magical makeover, much more so than your Saturn return. This one really feels like a huge death of sorts. And the word or the affirmation for this season is actually wake up. It's saying, oh my God, you've been asleep. Not in all areas of your life, but some areas of your life might feel like, that's not the story. Like, I want to wake up from that. It's almost like a horror movie. Like, I don't want to live in that anymore. And it doesn't mean, Uranus is not saying, like your Uranus opposition is not saying burn everything down, because this is the medicine that Neptune is trying to teach us. The wild mysteries, your soul, your intuition, your guidance of being more deeply reconnected during this season to your own reawakening is going to teach you peace in your peace from your past, passion with your presence, like with your presence in this, with your presence, your soul presence that are coming back online, and also permission to be present with what really is. Like, it's asking you to really, really feel into the death, the grief, the who you no longer are, in order for you to actually create from this new space of authenticity. For many, many women mystics, and I will say the word mystics because of Neptune and the spirituality, and it is such a spiritual sign. It can be a time frame where you are creating with more authenticity. It can be a time frame where soul gifts that came out of the woodworks come online. That you're creating something just beautiful and magical that you never really expected that you were going to be doing with your life or with your work. And so it is a beautiful, it is a beautiful time of rebuilding. So Saturn, your Saturn return was your first, okay, I'm going to build and respond to my first creation, right, of this decade. Which you're going to be building many things. It's not just one thing. You know what I'm talking about. This is actually a time, because at the end of your Uranus opposition, Saturn comes in again at around 43 years old to say, okay, it's rebuild time. Okay, I'm going to give you a break and you're going to rebuild the structures from the bottom up. So, reminder, the word is wake up, wake up. Oh my God, you woke up to a new story. Isn't that beautiful? I love Uranus opposition time. Oh my God. If you are in your Uranus opposition season, sister, I am here for you. That is probably my favorite season. I'm not going to lie. As of yet. I mean, actually, I'm at the end. I'm now towards the next rite of passage. So for now, it's definitely my... It's my sweet spot, just because I also had such a rebirth season and I have a deep understanding in my own somatic, in my own being of what it feels like to literally feel like you are no longer that being that you were. There are things and there are parts, of course, from your past persona that you keep, but there's a newness, this like freedom that you do feel more fully alive. You feel like yourself more than ever during your Uranus opposition. So my beauties who are going through that, and if you hear it, because online I'm hearing it so much from beauties saying like, I'm going through a midlife crisis. It is not a midlife crisis. It is a midlife reawakening. It is a midlife, like a remembrance. There's something coming back online rather than looking at it of like a crisis point of something to fix or something went wrong or et cetera, et cetera. Got it? The next rite of passage is our Chiron return. So again, 10 years later, around approximately, comes at the end of your 40s, your Chiron return. And your Chiron return is a time where we get to bless our story, where we have been in the work, right? In the sacred work, day in and day out, to remember that our story is the blessing, that our wound is being welcomed and re-welcomed back into wholeness day by day. Our sacred wounds, Chiron is the wounded healer. In summary, it is the part of us that feels that deepest wounding with life, with God, with others, with ourselves, like with the deepest part of ourselves that we have yet to touch. That is our Chiron return time, where wounds that we haven't quite touched yet can come up to the surface, or maybe we have been tending those beautiful wounds for years, which is beautiful, but it's also not a time where we have to like punish ourselves and be like, I haven't done any work, or I haven't fixed it, because it's not about fixing it, or like I'm not caught up, or like this is not about an arrival point. It really is a time where your own sacred healer emerges, reminding you that you are your greatest healer. And from your wound is where your greatest superpower lies. That's where it is that you work with in order to share with others. That is the place from where you work with internally to actually serve or share. So that the Chiron return season, again, some people call it your midlife crisis. I have found that without perfection, the more we become awake and aware and in tuned with these rites of passages, these great big seasons, these cyclical seasons, major seasons that happen in every one of our lives, the easier it becomes when we get to our next big rite of passage. And so they're all working with each other. So in this time frame, in your Chiron return for women, hello, can you see that some women are actually going through their premenopause from their Uranus opposition to their Chiron return time, like that time frame, or maybe a little bit post their Chiron return. So those 10-ish more years are literally what we call premenopause and menopause seasons in our life. And I've been sharing this as well, is these are spiritual rites of passages. When we are living it from the inside out, it is much easier to tend the external things that are happening in our life during those seasons, rather than going from the outside and just staying on the outside. You see what I'm saying? Let me say it maybe this way. Many people treat the symptoms of menopause, the external symptoms of menopause, without realizing that it's not just the diet, the sleep, the magnesium. You've heard it. We've heard it. In the last couple of years, we've been hearing it online. What I'm trying to remind us, beautiful mimosas, is that there are even deeper, darker, more divine spaces that our soul is saying, go here, go here. You know what you need during this season. That's actually where you need to be. Tend there. That's where the transformation lies. One more thing about Chiron return and menopause is that it goes hand in hand with adolescence, when we become an adolescent, and then when we are in our menopause. Whatever we weren't allowed to live out, to free, to adventure in, to welcome our wild ways in as an adolescent, it's gonna come back around during that Uranus opposition. Wake the fuck up. Like, you put that part of yourself to sleep. It's okay. Bless yourself, compassion. You've heard me speak about it, about loving ourselves. Yes, yes, yes. But it's like that time where your body's going, actually, look back in your seasons before, look back in your previous rites of passages and see what was dormant, see what you closed off to, see what you neglected, see what you abandoned, see what you pushed away, etc., etc. When you re-welcome those parts, then those rites of passages become medicinal. They become your soul self. They become your superpower, because they're actually in realignment. They're actually re-welcomed back home. They're living in wholeness. They're not fighting for space, and they're not feeling abandoned as well. That doesn't mean that it's perfect. That doesn't mean that we, including myself, have it all figured out. That's not what I'm saying. It's a whole beautiful journey, these rites of passages. And only you know when you're actually touching the truth internally, that truth with a capital T, when you're like, oh God, thank you. Thank you. Yes, that in this season of my life taught me deep forgiveness, not only with myself, but with my mother or with my father or with my ex. It taught me like to have compassion, but like capital T, not lower T, like capital truth T. Like you feel it in every cell. You've made complete peace from, like you're at peace with your past, with that. Anyways, I'm getting off on a little tangent. So the affirmation, or like the closing statement for Chiron return, is remembering you are your own sacred divine healer. You know that. And that is the season to remember that. And that's why at around that age, women are like, I don't give a fuck anymore. I don't give a fuck. In between their 40s and then 50s, and then when they get to the 50s, they're like, I really don't give a fuck. And then you've heard that the new 60s is the new 50s. I love that term. So check this out. About 10 years later comes your second Saturn return. Remember the Saturn return that happened at the end of your 20s? Well, guess what? It's coming back around, because now you get to build your whole life again anew. Why? Because this is your legacy decade. In this decade, in between your Chiron return, right before your Chiron return to your second Saturn return is actually your elder season. Your elder season is not just 1 year. I know in the Mayan calendar, they have their own specific, like in different traditions, they have like their number. For me, it's a mystery. And each and every one of us has their own magical knowing of when they are in it, when they are beginning, when they're in the middle, when they're like there, okay? It's not so much about like it's 1 year and you're done. Remember that we as women work with cycles, 10 months, 10 years. And so that second Saturn return is asking us, what legacy do I want to leave behind? I am a change maker. I am the sacred change maker of my lineage, who is creating new contracts, new stories to be told and shared. I am that being. You are that being. You beautiful Mimosa, you beautiful change maker, you beautiful leader, you beautiful artist, you beautiful healer. You already know, remember, at the end of your Chiron return, that you are your own healer. And we all know that even beforehand. Thank you. Amen. We all do know that, and we're actually practicing the remembrance and the embodiment of that. And in our second Saturn return, it really, really is that remembrance of, okay, this is your era to actually be that queen in your life, be that priestess publicly. Okay, amen. The last one, our progressed moon. I spoke a little bit about that, but to end that, the progressed moon happens around every 27 to 28 years. Oh my gosh, right now it's 28 minutes that I'm speaking. So perfect. So the progressed moon, you can actually go online and press in your free progressed moon calculator, and you can calculate where you are, because that is a life changer. Whenever I learned about that, it really showed me during my Uranus opposition time. Mine was actually in Aquarius, which made complete sense. Aquarius is not only the humanitarian, but it's also the like be uniquely you. And that was my era where I was actually feeling I don't want to be vaccinated. I don't feel restricted within myself. I don't feel like I'm restricted. I want to restrict others, and I don't want to feel restricted. And so it's actually also during the time where I unschooled my children. Like I did a lot of things that actually were breaking the norms of society in my everyday life. And in that season, my progressed moon sign was in Aquarius, which actually, I didn't even know it then. I knew it years later, but it made sense when I realized, oh my God, I was acting in all these ways, and I was doing all of these things because my progressed moon was in Aquarius. And it's also the be authentically you, your wild freak you, let your freak out. And that was my freak. My freak was like, I'm living free. I'm feeling free, so I'm gonna live free. So, you know, if you're having an Aquarius, or if you're having a Capricorn, a Capricorn, if you're in the Capricorn progressed moon and you're like feeling super devoted and you're building something new in your life, or you're in Aries and you're feeling that fire